By late August 1944, the war in Western Europe had changed. Normandy was over, and the German front was broken and in retreat. What followed was not a battle, but a race. After the brutal fighting around Falaise, General Stanisław Maczek's 1st Polish Armoured Division quickly recovered its combat power. Allied command had decided to unleash its armored forces in a broad pursuit of the retreating Germans, and the Poles were ready. The pursuit unfolded across a vast front. Canadian, British, and American armies surged eastward together, each with a different objective and different terrain. The British aimed for Belgium's cities. The Americans drove hard through open ground. The Canadians, operating closer to the coast, faced the most difficult task of all: rivers, canals, and fortified ports. It was here with the Canadians that the Polish Armoured Division would fight. Northern France was deceptive. On a map, it looked perfect for tanks, open ground and long roads. In reality, it was sliced apart by rivers, and bridges were destroyed by the retreating Germans. By the end of August, the Poles moved out from Falaise towards the Seine River. After days of rain-soaked marching, they reached the river near Abbeville and crossed on a freshly built pontoon bridge named after Poland's capital, Warsaw. The pursuit of the Germans officially began on September 1st, 1944. For the Poles, the date mattered. 5 years earlier, Germany had invaded their homeland. Now Polish tanks were chasing German columns across France. The Germans knew they were beaten, but not yet destroyed. Their goal was survival. Their method was delay. Again and again, Germans fought stubbornly in difficult terrain. Their goal was not victory, but time. Hold until nightfall, withdraw under darkness, and destroy every bridge. The Polish answer was speed. Polish tanks moved forward, often overrunning retreating German units. Prisoners were taken, hundreds of them, and interrogated on the spot. From them came priceless intelligence: which bridges were still intact, which rivers could be crossed, and which villages to avoid. Infantry dealt with the resistance left behind. The tanks moved forward. German commanders were repeatedly surprised by how quickly the Poles appeared on the next river. Even major rivers like the Somme failed to become a defensive line. Cities were taken before artillery barrages could be organized. Urban destruction, so common earlier in the campaign, was often avoided simply because the Germans never had time to prepare. But success created risk. As the pursuit stretched across hundreds of kilometers, Canadian formations on the left began to lag behind. The Polish division sometimes found itself thrust forward like a wedge with exposed flanks and uncertain support. Nowhere was this clearer than in the race towards Abbeville. On September 1st, Polish reconnaissance units moved forward through a patchwork of forest, villages, and rivers. German forces melted away from some towns, fought bitterly in others. At Blangy, Polish armor and dragoons fought house to house to secure a crossing over the Bresle River, capturing hundreds of prisoners in the process. The chase did not stop. On September 1st, the lead regiment covered more than 90 kilometers, much of it under fire. The speed of advance also created confusion. Reports arrived suggesting that Abbeville had already fallen to Canadian forces, but prisoners said otherwise. German movements suggested a prepared defense. Faced with uncertainty, Polish commanders made a critical decision: assume the enemy was still in Abbeville. The decision proved correct. German guns covered the approach to the city. Nightfall halted further attacks, and the Poles pulled back into defensive positions. Polish losses were light, but destroyed tanks on the roadside were reminders that speed had a price. The following day revealed that the Germans had withdrawn across the Somme under cover of darkness, destroying the bridges behind them. Once again, water, not the enemy, halted the advance. Engineers went to work. Under fire, they built bridges. By September 3rd, Abbeville fell. Polish tanks crossed the Somme on fresh bridges and pressed on towards Belgium. But the character of the pursuit had changed. The Germans adapted. From now on, every river would be defended and every canal would become a battlefield. The pursuit slowed not because of German strength, but because of German methods. For the Polish division, this meant a change in tactics. No longer could they simply punch through resistance. Now they had to spread out, bypass strong points, and hunt for crossings. Still, the momentum never fully stopped. By early September, the Polish division crossed multiple river lines and was advancing into Belgium. German movement became more frantic, less coordinated. Entire columns were caught on the roads and destroyed. The German army was no longer retreating in order. It was fleeing. Exhausted and constantly surprised by armor formation that seemed to appear where no tanks should be able to go. For the Poles, speed and decision-making had won the day.